Let's speak now to Alex Salmond, who is the Scottish National Party Foreign Affairs spokesperson, joins us now from Westminster. Mr. Salmond, first of all, got to ask your reaction to this news breaking overnight. Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States.
Well, I'm deeply disappointed, although I suspect my disappointment is as of nothing compared to the religious minorities, the racial minorities, the people that Donald Trump demeaned during the election campaign and what is now a deeply divided society in America. I think we'll just have to hope that the presidency changes a man. I think all of us better have and hang on to that hope.
Well, I just want to pick out something that Donald Trump said in his victory speech there, because he said people who don't support him, he will be reaching out to them for guidance and help. He said he will be a president for all, and that includes all religions, all races, and all beliefs. So to a certain extent, you could read into that all the things he said in the build-up to this election have been tempered slightly now he's in the White House, because we all know that politicians say a lot of things in the build-up to an election that they actually probably don't really mean.
Yes, there are limits for. I mean, politicians, by and large, in democracies, don't mobilise racial or religious antagonism to get elected. But if he's going to reach out to people, I'll be expecting a phone call then. His Exton speech, his victory speech was magnanimous, but I'm not surprised by that. The difficulty with Donald Trump is not when he's winning and getting his own ways. He's nice as ninepence in these situations. The difficulty with Donald Trump is what happens when he comes up against opposition, against roadblocks. And the difficulty with being president of the United States is you're not all powerful. He'll come up against roadblocks. And the test of character is going to be when that happens, does he react in the way that he's done recently, or does indeed the presidency change a man?
You're proceeding with caution, then, I think is probably an understatement, but you're proceeding with caution on this news. Nicola Sturgeon, however, the First Minister of Scotland, has been a bit more welcoming. She said, while it's not the outcome that she hoped for, it is the verdict of the American people. She's congratulated Donald Trump and said that she values the relationship with the United States and its people. There are ties that bind them, so she wants those to endure. So she's perfectly willing to work with Donald Trump, it seems.
Well, of course, and that's absolutely correct. And she's First Minister of Scotland. And when somebody's elected in a democracy, you have to respect the office, whatever misgivings you have about the character of the person involved. And of course, Scotland will want to work with the United States of America. That goes without saying. But you should also tell it as it is, and you should say what you think. And, we're not going to do ourselves any favours by cowering in a corner and
Trump
pretending...
was saying what he thought. Donald Trump was just saying what he thought.
But
a lot of people are saying this is all doom and gloom.
A second ago, you were saying to me he didn't actually think that. Incidentally, you were right a second ago. I've known Donald Trump for a number of years, and the Donald Trump that I met back in 2006 never uttered a single word against Muslims. He didn't utter a single word against Mexicans. He didn't demean women in public, at least, whatever he was saying in private. But the difficulty is he used and said these things in order to get elected, in order to win the Republican nomination. That's called demagoguery. And when something like that happens in politics, you don't do yourself, your country, your reputation, your integrity, or your self-respect any favour by just saying, oh, well, never mind that, we'll just go along with it. You've got to think of people who were in the receiving end of that sort of assault. Now, I did say at the start of this interview,
a lot of people will agree with you that...
Let's hope that...
No, sorry, a lot of people will agree with you that they didn't like his conduct in the build-up to that, but you've just said that you know the man himself, you know that a lot of those things he was saying he doesn't genuinely believe. So why are you still worried?
Because it's a question of the character that you would actually say these things and do these things in order to get elected. Now, let me go back to the kernel of the point here, that Donald Trump, when he's getting his own way, when he's successful, when he's winning, as we saw in the early hours of this morning in his acceptance speech, is absolutely as nice as ninepence, wouldn't hurt a fly. The difficulty with Donald Trump is when he runs against opposition. It's how he behaves in that characteristic. Now, that will happen as President of the United States, and we've just got to hope that the office changes the personality of the man. One thing I would say that if this was just a question of policy, there's things that Donald Trump has said about foreign policy, about cooperation with Russia, about talking, jaw rather than war, which I rather approve of. and I hope that he's able to follow through in these things. The question mark I've got, and the question mark the world should have, is the character when he runs up against opposition and doesn't get things all his own way.
OK, Alex Salmond, MP, former First Minister of Scotland and current Foreign Affairs spokesman for the party, thank you very much for giving us your viewpoint here on Sky News this afternoon.